So, yeah, you must have noticed I have been doing live sessions on CV writing. So, I started with English. I have done a CV writing session back in 2018. That was appreciated by many of you, and building on that, I started doing the similar session in Sindhi language. So, considering the need of writing quality cover letter, so we will be doing today's session about writing an effective cover letter. So, many of us are well aware about the cover letter, what it is exactly, and how it need to be written. So, yeah, let's wait for a couple of other friends. Once they join, then we can formally start the session. And let me tell you that this session will be go on to maximum for about 1 hour to 1.5 hour. Yeah. So a cover letter actually it is a single page letter that include with your job application. I'm sure you all are aware that whenever the jobs are advertised and whenever you see that the applications are invited by different employers, they must be asking to submit your CV along with the cover letter. So, what is the cover letter? Cover letter is a single page letter that you include with your job application, and this you should always include a cover letter unless the job advertisement clearly say no to. I mean, in some instances, the employers clearly mention that just only send your CV, resume, or biodata, and they don't ask for not to include. If they specify not to include, which indicates you don't need to include. But if they don't mention that not to include the cover letter, it is very much understood that you need to include the cover letter along with your CV, which is actually the application. So moving forward, what is the purpose of this cover letter? Why we need to send this cover letter along with our application, along with our CV, or along with our resume, or along with our biodata? So when writing a cover letter, you need to ensure that it at least contains many things, including you need to introduce yourself, a very brief introduction of about yourself, and you need to mention that job or kind of job you are applying for or looking for. I mean, it's very much clear from the advertisement which position you are applying for. So you need to mention about the job, about the position in the cover letter. And also you need to include that your skills and your experience match the skills and the experience needed to do the job. So we need to understand, we need to keep in mind that whenever job advertisement has been done, we need to look into the job description, we need to look into the TORs, terms of reference of that particular position, to develop clear understanding and to tailor our cover letter. as well as our CV. So it is very much important that when you are writing the cover letter, you need to show that your skills and your experience has very much relevance with the skills and experience needed to do that particular job for which you are applying. What additionally you need to mention? You need to ensure that encourage the reader to read your CV or resume. I mean, the cover letter, you need to ensure that the reader, I mean, either it could be the hiring manager, it could be the HR manager. So your cover letter look like is an encouraging document for the hiring manager, for the HR manager, as they can not only read your cover letter but also go to your CV or resume. And additionally, what you need to do that you need to finish with a cover call to action. You need to finish your cover letter with a call to action. For example, asking for an interview or a meeting. This should be your closing sentence in the cover letter. For example, like looking forward to be considered for this particular role and shall be happy to go through the recruitment process at your prestigious organization, etc. So you need to mention this paragraph, or you need to close your cover letter by putting these couple of lines at the end of the cover letter. So moving forward, how long should be a cover letter? I mentioned earlier, it should be a very simple and very single page document. It should not be that much lengthy. So keep it short. A cover letter is meant to be summary of your resume. I have been talking about the CVs, about the resume, about the biodata. So these are 3 different type of documents. I already mentioned that the CV is about the professional history of someone, and the resume is the summary of CV. I mean, for example, if your CV is of about 2 pages, so your resume must be maximum 1 page. So here, the cover letter is again a summary of your resume. So don't write more than 1 page. And you must have noticed from the advertisement for this different positions, they clearly mention, employers clearly mention that cover letter should not be more than 1 page. So you need to ensure that it should not be more than 1 page. Cover letter should be maximum of 1 page. And now, matching your cover letter to the job. I'll be reading the questions which you people are putting into the comments, and I will try to respond those questions accordingly. One of the friend has mentioned, please elaborate the how we apply one job, or we have to create a new CV according to job criteria. Yes, my friend, it is very much important that every time you need to tailor your CV, I mean, according to the advertised job, and as well as you need to tailor your cover letter. I mean, you need to rewrite your cover letter every time for the position which you are applying. So coming back, I mean, I was sharing that matching your cover letter to the job. Yeah, here is again your answer to your question, that use a different cover letter for each job you apply for. I mean, don't use the same cover letter every time. So you need to create or write the cover letter for each job you are applying for. And your cover letter needs to show that you know what the job involves and what the employer is looking for. So this is very important, and this could only be possible when you go through in depth into the job description, into the TORs of the advertised position. Then you will be able to include what are the needs, to show that you know what the job involves and what the employer is looking for. So this is very much important. Then you will be only able to do this once you are gone through the TORs or job description of that particular position for which you are applying. And additionally, to do this, specific about your skills and qualities, you also need to show how they match the needs of the job or the organization. So this is also important when you are matching your cover letter to the job advertised. You need to specify about your skills and the qualities, and also you need to show how these are very much in line with the needs of the job of the organization or the organization. So this is about that, how long the cover letter should be and how you can match your cover letter to the job for which you are applying. Moving forward, there are three simple ways to make your cover letter as specific as possible. So let's discuss these three ways one by one. Number one, find out who to address it to. I mean, whenever you are starting to write the cover letter, to whom you need to address it. And this is also very clearly mentioned in the job advertisement and some in the job descriptions, in the TORs, that the applications need to be addressed to that particular person. So here, find out who to address it to, which means that try not to address your letter like to whom it may concern. This is not an appropriate way. Find out the name of the person who will read your application. This might take a little effort, but it's worth it. So please don't write to whom it may concern. You need to find out the name of the person. This has been noticed while the advertisement from the government organizations, from the various departments. They used to mention either the name of the person to whom the applications need to be addressed, or the designation of that particular person to whom the application need to be addressed. So here the point is that find out the name of the person who will read your application. This might take a little effort, but it's really worth it. The next point is if you found the job in an advertisement, it will probably name a person to send the application. This is what I talked about earlier. If it doesn't, if it doesn't mention about the name or the designation of that particular person, then call the employer or advertiser and ask who to send the application to. Telephone is the best, but email them if you can't find a contact phone number. This has been noticed especially from the international advertisement. They usually mention email address and a phone number, that if you want to acquire more details, if you want to discuss more about the role, etc., you can contact or you can reach this person and can be helpful. Yeah, so, and in some instances you can also, I mean, mention that the human resource department and the name of the organization underneath. That's really helpful. And the last point is that if you find out the person's name, that's very much perfect. Then don't use their first name. Use either Mr. or Miss and their last name instead. I'm sure this is also clear, pretty clear, that if you find out the person's name, then don't use their first name. For example, a person has the name of Ali Muhammad, for example, Sumro. So you don't need to write Ali Muhammad, directly write Mr. Sumro, dear Mr. Sumro. And for example, if it is about the lady name is over, then try to write the Ms. and at the end Ms. Sumro. So these are the three things to find out who to address to it. I mean, the cover letter, which person you need to address. The second, more specific way is find out more about the job, which means when finding out who to address your application to, you could also try to contact that person so you can ask questions. This can help you match your cover letter and resume to the job. This I already mentioned. For example, you have questions about the role, about the job, about background, etc. You can reach that person who can help you out and answer your questions. So this can help you match your cover letter and resume to that particular job. And what you need, you can ask from that particular person. For example, does the job involve working as part of a team? Who should I be reporting to if I got the job? Can you tell me more about the kind of persons you are looking for? And is there a position description I can look at? Only ask this if the job advertisement doesn't mention a position description. So when we are asking, I mean, for additional information, we need to be careful. We need to be more specific. We need to be to the point. So what you need to ask them, I'm going to repeat for you all. You need to ask them, does the job involve working as a part of team? You may ask them, who would I be reporting to if I got the job? I mean, you're not sure because you are just sending your application, but you want to know this position is going to report which person. Either is the executive director, is the country director, head of programs, or the program director, project director, etc. Any of the position could be. And other thing which you want to know is, can you tell me more about the kind of person you are looking for? And you can only ask this question if it is not mentioned into the job description or into the TORs. So the third and the last specific way to make your cover letter more specific as possible is find out more about the company, about the organization. Those have advertised this position and you are applying to get employed with them. And why? I mean, this is also important. You are preparing yourself at the initial stage. So you need to find out more about the company or the organization. You can tailor your cover letter for the job. Here are some tips. If you know the name of company, look for information online. If you know the name of the organization, any organization it could be. I mean, company, the company could be any private company, any engineering company, any sort of company it could be. So if you know the name of the company, look for information online. If the company has website, visit it, especially their about us. I mean, which entails you their vision, their mission, their programs, which areas they are working, what are their expertise, so and what is their, for example, team. So they can have this information, especially in the tab of about us. If the company name isn't in the advertisement, then you need to call the recruitment agency. I mean, this has been noticed nowadays. The companies or the organization, they usually hire the third parties to seek support in the recruitment process, etc. So call the recruitment agency or advertiser and ask who the employer is. And this has been also noticed. Sometimes they always keep it confidential. They don't disclose the name of the company or the organization. But if you are lucky enough and you get the name of the company, then you can, always Google, you can look into their website, and you will have this information which you are looking for. So these are the three simple ways to make your cover letter more specific. I wanna repeat for you all. Number one is find out who to address to it. And the number two is find out more about the job. And the third one is find out more about the company or about the organization. So these are the three simple ways. Those will help you to make your cover letter as specific as possible. Okay, so moving forward, let me repeat again. So if you have any questions, you can always write into the comment, and I will try to respond then and there, and even I can reply at the end of the session. So yes, next is what to include in your cover letter. This is also important. This has been noticed that we, as in our CVs or in resume, we always put a lot of information. Information which is not relevant, which is not needed. So same here is sometimes the case into the cover letter. We usually try to put maximum information, and this is our impression that if we put maximum information, then we are going to impress the hiring manager, the HR manager, that we know a lot. But this is not the case. So here is a list of things you should include in your cover letter. Let me share with you. Number one is your name and contact details. You need to include. Put your name and contact details at the top of your cover letter. You don't have to give your postal address, but you do need to include your email and phone number. You can also put your Skype address as well. So let me repeat again. Put your name and contact details at the top of your cover letter, but at the same time you don't have to give your postal address, because you are putting your postal address into your CV or your resume. So no need to put your contact details or postal address into the cover letter. But you do need to include your email address, the phone number, and additionally Skype ID. You can also include that. Additionally, your email address should create a professional impression. So don't use an email address like I have been giving examples like for example, my name is Zahid Hussain Jalbani. So I don't need to put like Zahid Hussain Jalbani full name as an email address. No. this is not a professional email and is not going to leave a professional impression to the employer or to the hiring manager. You need to create your professional email. Like, for example, one person has a name like Sajjad Ahmad. So Sajjad Ahmad need to either create like Sajjad dot Ahmad. Another person, for example, has named like Mushtaq Baloch. So can create his email ID like mushtaq.baloch or mushtaq_Baloch. So this could be like, and I have noticed many of friends of us, they are creating their emails like, for example, Zahid 458, Zahid _97. These are actually not professional emails, and these will not really put a very good or professional impression on the hiring manager. So here, the last point, if you don't have a professional email address, you can make one with a free email provider, but kindly make it simple. I already talked about it. Something that includes your first name and your last name is a good way to go, rather than making it very confusing, rather than making it in your perception it is very unique, it is very different, but trust me, it's not going to leave a good impression to the hiring manager or to the employer. So this is need to be included into the cover letter. The second thing you need to include into your cover letter is their name and contact details. Under your name, your own name and contact details, you should include the name of the person you are writing to, their position or the name of the company. For example, if you know the name of the hiring manager or the HR manager, you can put first his name, underneath you can put his designation or the position. If you don't know the position or the designation, then there's not a big deal. You can put the name of the company over there, name of the organization underneath his name. And in general, if you don't know the name of that person, if you don't know the designation of that person, just write simply that to the human resource department, and underneath write the name of the company. For example, Angro Fertilizer, for example, Angro Power Gen. That's it, and the name of the city. Their contact details. If you are having trouble finding this information, you can call the company to ask who you should address your application to. We already talked about this is usually being advertised or being mentioned by the government organizations, and the private organizations, they usually sometimes mention that the applications can be addressed to this person. If they don't mention the name of the person, they usually mention the designation of that particular person to whom this application could be addressed. So moving forward, the next thing which you need to include into your cover letter is the name of the job you are going for. The name of the job you are applying for. At the start of your cover letter, you need to say which job you are applying for. But maybe it could be program director, maybe head of department, it could be like the project manager, it could be like the program manager. So you need to mention that it is very simple. In the subject line, just mention the application for the position of program manager, head of program, etc. You can do this on a line by itself. And for example, application for a stock controller position. And don't forget, when if you're applying by email, so you need to put the same heading into the subject line if you're sending your application by email. The next thing, you can also do this in the opening paragraph. And the opening paragraph, for example, I'm writing to apply for the recently advertised stock controller position. So this could be one of your opening sentence in the cover letter. This is also very much important. You need to mention the name of the position correctly, and just write a single line, for example, regarding application for a stock controller position, and you can start your cover letter by the line that I'm writing to apply for the recently advertised stock controller position. So moving forward, what additionally you need to include in your cover letter? A list of your relevant skills. What I mean to say? I mean, include a brief summary about how your skills, experience match the job description. In the very beginning, I also talked about this. A short bullet list is fine. If you are answering a job advertisement, there may be a position description that lists essential skills and experiences. I'm sure many of you have been noticed that this is included into the job description of that particular position. They always talk about the list of essential skills, person specification, and they also mention about the experiences they are looking for. It may also have a list of desirable skills and experience. Your cover letter need to respond to all the items on the essential list. You should also respond as many items as you can on the desirable list. Remember that if you say you have a skill or experience, you need to show how you have used it or how you got it. For example, if you have got child minding skills, mention some jobs where you have used them. So if I can rephrase this paragraph for you all, it means that you need to ensure the quantification and the qualification of the experiences which you are skills which you have acquired over the period of time. This is very much important. You need to quantify, you need to qualify, as it is mentioned over here. For example, if you say you have got child minding skills, then you need to mention the reference of the job where you have used these skills. That will really make your cover letter more strong. Okay, moving forward, a summary of why you are right for the job. So keep in mind, you are not only the applicant for that particular position. I mean, for example, if you're applying within the country, consider at least it should be hundreds of applications, hundreds of cover letter they have received, hundreds of CVs they have received. And if you're applying for an international position, keep in mind there would be competition would be more than that. Maybe thousands of applications over there. So here, a summary of why you are right for that job. I mean, after listing your skills and experience, you should explain why these mean you are suited to the job, or you are best suitable candidate for that particular position, for that particular job. For example, my ability to get along with anyone and my experience is solving customer problems in retail setting, making me ideally suited for this job. We can give another examples that for example, my ability to problem solving, troubleshooting, day-to-day operational support to the team. So these could be the examples which you really put into your cover letter by summarizing it and mentioning that you are one of the most suitable candidate or applicant for this particular position. Okay, the next thing which is about is also very important, and it is about speak their language. Don't speak your language, but speak the employer language. Speak their language. For example, using the same language as people who do a particular job shows that you understand the industry or field that employer works in. So how you will be able to use their language, the same language? This could only be possible when you will visit the website of that particular company, when you will be able to know more about them, that particular industry. For example, you are applying for a fertilizer industry, you are applying for a petroleum and gas industry, so you need to look into their website. You need to know more about them, then you will be able to use same language. Find out what the employer does, what the program they have, what the departments they have, and which department you are going to apply, which department you are going to be employed. So you need to find out what the employer does and how they talk about themselves. Use this language in your cover letter. This is very much important. For example, if there is a tool or software or skill the job requires, like machining tools or cash handling, mention it in your cover letter, but make sure you mention it correctly. When I have been doing sessions on CV writing, I usually emphasize on please don't tell lie. Don't write, don't mention anything which you don't know. So here is almost same. If there is, for example, if there is a tool or software or skill the job requires, for example, machining tool or cash handling, mention it in your cover letter, but make sure mention it correctly. The next point is read what to research before a job interview page to find out more ways to research an employer. This is for the next stage. Once you are shortlisted, then how you need to prepare for the interview. So this we will be talking sometimes later. I'm sure in my next session it will be about the preparation for interviews, and I'll be talking about the few basic tips how you can prepare for the interviews. So moving forward, let's talk about ask them to contact you. This is also important. You need to include this into your cover letter. Your cover letter should finish by asking the employer to read your resume. It should also ask them to contact you about an interview. So this should be the closing sentence. Like, try something simple like, I have attached a copy of my resume. I look forward to hearing from you about this job. You can also mention that, looking forward to go through the recruitment process at your prestigious company. So you can also mention this also as well. Yeah, we were talking about ask them to contact you. This is important, and you need to put into your cover letter at the end, or when you are closing your cover letter. You should say that it should also ask them to that for an interview, or I have attached a copy of my resume or my CV or my biodata, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you about this job. Yeah, so this we talked about what need to be included into the cover letter. Now let's talk about there are something that should never be in your cover letter. So here are few things we will be discussing regarding them. Number one is here are some things to watch out for. You need to look into. For example, if you are done and you have finished your finishing your cover letter, but you need to look into. And what are these things? Typos or mistakes. We are always in hurry. We just try to finish our tasks quickly, but we don't look into these things. Typos or mistakes. Always spell check your cover letter. Many mistakes. We feel that we are confident enough. There are no any mistakes in the cover letter which we have written, but it contains many mistakes which really leave a very bad impression of you on the employer. So it's even better to get someone else to read it and point out any mistakes or confusing things. So two things are very important. You need to spell check your cover letter. This is very much easy. I mean, you have written your cover letter in the Word document, in MS Word, there is a auto spell check. You can just click on that icon and it will spell check of your whole cover letter. It hardly takes seconds. It will point out you that yes, these are the mistakes you need to cover up. You need to correct your mistakes. And the other thing, you can do this by first read it by yourself, and the second, get it proofread from someone else who can read for you and who can point out the mistakes which you have made. That's really helpful. People you could ask to read your cover letter include friends, family members, your career teachers, or a career counselor at your university or any sort of academy. You can seek help from them. You can request them to read your cover letter. You can seek help from one of your friend, from your family member, career counselor, career teacher, etc. The next thing is double check everything in your cover letter. If you mention a company's name, make sure your spell is right. If you mention places you have worked before, make sure you spell their names right too. Why? Because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget the names of the companies, and we don't remember their correct spellings. Same applies to the locations. where we have, are the places where we have worked before. So we sometimes make mistakes. We are human beings, so we always make mistakes. So it's better to look into again, to review again, to ensure that there are no spelling mistakes in the names of the companies and the name of the places where we have been working, we have worked before. Okay, so what else you don't need to include into your cover letter? Yeah, this is noticed. I mean, I have experience once I have been reviewing CVs for of different people's and doing some sort of short listings with the organizations. Trust me, the CV's length is more than 6 pages, more than 8 pages, even more than that. So why this much is the length? Because we always try to put maximum information into the CVs. So same is the case with the cover letter. So what they are saying not to include, including your whole resume in your cover letter. And we are really expert enough in what? In copy paste, in cut paste. We usually copy something from somewhere and we really copy paste. For example, our resume is already prepared. We just copy, we just cut from our resume and put into the cover letter. No, don't cut and paste your resume into your cover letter. This is really going to be disaster. How? Because you are also, I mean, enclosing your resume or CV with your cover letter. Once the recruitment manager or the hiring manager is going through your application, I mean the cover letter and the resume, and when he or she noticed that you just have done cut paste, I'm sure they will throw your CV and the application into the bin. So don't try to get your CV thrown away. Keep your cover letter short. Let your resume tell the whole story. So don't do cut paste. Your cover letter should be short, to the point, and it not should be, I mean, that much lengthy. Well, let's go your resume and your CV talk about your whole professional story. It is not the cover letter we talked about. And what is next? Yeah, we people always use quote I, using I too much. This is natural phenomena, and we prefer to use I have done this, I have done this, I have been doing this, so I had done this. This is dangerous. Don't use too much I. Try not to overuse phrases like I believe, I have, and I am. Remember, it's not about you. It's about how you can help the employer. So this is very much important. They're looking the person who can really help them and can do something differently, can support them, could be innovative, could be creative. So don't use too much I. Once you have written your letter, read over it and try to take or rewrite as many sentences that start with I as you can. So try to ensure that you will not be using, or you will be using I at a minimum. In the last, it says that once you have written your letter, read over it. Not a single time. You need to read it 2-3 times. It will really help you to take out or rewrite as many sentences that start with I as you can. Yeah, this is the mistake which we have been doing in past. It's about the don't mention your other job applications. parallel, we have been sending many applications. For example, in a day, maybe you have sent 2-3 applications for different employers for different roles. So here, don't mention your other job applications that you have sent, you have applied here. No, don't try to mention about those job applications. You're probably applying for more than one job at a time. However, it is best not to mention other job applications. Your letter should aim to convince the employer that you really want this job. Even though most employers will assume you are applying for more than one job, you don't need to mention it. This is very much understood. So don't mention in your cover letter that you are also have applied for other jobs. Okay. Yeah, so these were the things, those not need to be included into the cover letter. And in the last, there may be times when you need use the different kinds of cover letters. And few of the examples which I wanted to share with you, and these examples can be accessed while visiting websites. The cover letters could be different. For example, a cover letter when you have no work experience. This is entirely different cover letter, and this is specifically for the fresh graduates, those have just done their graduation, or they are after their graduation they are unemployed. They have no job, but they are looking around. So this is one of the type of cover letter. Another cover letter when you have some work experience. I mean the little, maybe 1 year, 2 year, or maybe 6 months. So this is another different type of cover letter. The third one is cover letter when no resume is required. This is also another type of the cover letter. When you are sending that cover letter, I mean no resume or no CV, curriculum vitae is required. And the fourth one is cover letter when there is no job advertised. This is the fourth type of the cover letter. This is also important. No different type of cover letters. So thank you very much, friends, for your time joining me for this session. So let's have questions from you all. If you have any question, you can write over here in the comments. Then I can go through and I'll try at my level best to respond. So any one of you also need some sort of sample cover letters, which I talked about. I'm here to share the different type of cover letters, and also here to support in reviewing, rewriting the cover letter for any one of you. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, let's take 4 or 5 minutes for questions, and then we can close our session. So it seems that no questions so far. So anyways, if you have questions, you can reach me always. I'm here to support. I'm here to respond to your questions. So once again, thank you very much to all of you who made it possible and joined this session. And additionally, if you want that it is worth one session, you can share with your friends, with your colleagues, and you can also share at your Facebook wall. That's really helpful, because by doing this we can spread out the word, and we can reach maximum number of people around us. So thank you very much all. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Goodbye.